Civilization Manifesto. XFJ 830 Open Research White Paper 1.0. Civilization Manifesto. XFJ 830 Open Research White Paper 1.0. Document ID. AIISO. XFJ 830 WP 01. Geographical origin. Formosa, Taiwan, Northern Mountain Geological Context, New Taipei City. Founding frequency, 830 Hz, August 30th. Governance Standard, version 1.0, Foundational Edition. Part 1. Prologue and the Origin of Wu Studies. Prologue. Civilization's ultimate question in the age of AI, human civilization has learned to measure almost everything, except its rarest resource, time. As generative artificial intelligence, AI reshapes human society, virtual assets, digital code, and limitless information continue to expand at unprecedented speed. In an era where matter, knowledge, and information can be replicated almost instantly, humanity faces an unprecedented challenge: the gradual erosion of long-term meaning, trust, and value. Before technological abundance overwhelms objective reality, the XFJ 830 Global Open Governance Framework, Open Governance Framework 1.0, was established to explore an irreversible and independently verifiable foundation for future civilization. XFJ 830 is not a short-term commercial initiative. It is a long-term interdisciplinary framework connecting geology, physics, scientific verification, and institutional trust to explore how civilization may preserve enduring value in the age of artificial intelligence. Chapter 1. The Origin of Wu Studies. A geological archive preserved through time. The physical foundation of this research begins with one of nature's longest preserved records, ancient Taiwanese Hinoki bogwood. Within the XFJ 830 framework, it is not regarded simply as wood, an artifact, or a luxury object. It is understood as a time carrier, physical matter that preserves irreversible natural duration. Thousands of years ago, massive trees were buried beneath deep oxygen-deficient wetlands by earthquakes and geological transformation. Isolated under extreme pressure and natural microbial environments, the material underwent irreversible geological alteration while preserving an objective record of Earth's natural history. XFJ 830 is founded upon independently verifiable scientific evidence, rather than mythology or legend. Scientific radiocarbon dating, together with documented bogwood excavation records, provides objective evidence indicating an age exceeding 8,000 years, plus or minus 54 years. These independently verifiable records establish what XFJ 830 describes as an Earth geophysical memory archive, a preserved history that cannot be recreated, accelerated, or altered by modern technology. Part 2. Fire Restoration and Resonance Across Time. Chapter 2. Fire Restoration, 15 Years of Devotion and Resonance Across Time. Ancient bogwood is a geological miracle, yet without the proper restoration methodology, it remains nothing more than carbonized wood hidden beneath the earth. The key to unlocking this geological archive was developed through 15 years of dedication by XFJ 830 founder Xu Fengji, including nearly 3,000 sleepless nights devoted to research, observation, and restoration. Xu Thermal Fire Restoration Method. Built upon profound respect for nature, the method follows one fundamental principle: respect nature. Remove nothing. Rather than cutting, carving, or altering the original structure with traditional tools, the restoration process applies a proprietary thermal energy technique to carefully reactivate the preserved characteristics within the ancient material. Through controlled heat, naturally preserved oils and internal structures gradually emerge to the surface, revealing textures, depth, and optical reflections formed through thousands of years of irreversible geological processes. The objective is not to reshape nature. It is to reveal what nature has already preserved. 830 Hz, a symbol of personal commitment. The number 830 originates from the founder's birth date, August 30th. Within the XFJ 830 framework, it represents a personal commitment rather than a mystical claim. It symbolizes the transformation of one individual's limited lifetime into a lifelong dedication to preserving evidence accumulated over thousands of years. Every restoration became an act of observation. Every observation became part of an ongoing dialogue between humanity, nature, and time. The work seeks not to alter history, but to allow preserved history to become visible once again. In this sense, the restoration process is more than craftsmanship. It is an effort to reconnect observable evidence with future generations through respect for nature, scientific observation, and the continuity of time. Part 3. Constitutional Principles. From Time Carrier to Time Asset. Chapter 3. Constitutional Principles. From Time Carrier to Time Asset. To provide a common research framework for long-term decision-making in the age of AI, The XFJ830 framework establishes a progressive three-stage structure: time carrier to time asset to time value. Rather than describing a financial product, this framework defines the relationship between matter, evidence, verification, and long-term value. 1. Time carrier. 4 foundational principles. A material may be understood as a time carrier only when all 4 conditions remain present. Irreversibility. Time moves in one direction. Digital systems may recreate or simulate the past. Irreversible geological history cannot be repeated, accelerated, or reproduced. Physical evidence. Time itself cannot be touched. Its existence becomes observable only through the physical changes preserved within matter. Independent verifiability. Verification does not depend upon authority. Using internationally recognized scientific methods, independent observers should be able to reach comparable conclusions. Continuous traceability. Evidence should not exist as an isolated result. It should remain part of a transparent and continuously verifiable chain across generations. 2. Time asset. A framework of long-term trust. Scientific evidence alone does not create an asset. A time asset emerges when preserved evidence continues to support enduring confidence. Its foundation includes 3 essential conditions. Collective recognition. Recognition is established through independent observation, rather than popularity or market speculation. Sustainability and preservability. As long as the objective physical conditions remain intact, the evidence remains available for future research and preservation. Intergenerational stewardship. A time asset is intended to remain meaningful across generations, supporting continuity beyond individual institutions, markets, or jurisdictions. 3. Time value. The meaning of preserved duration. The purpose of the XFJ830 framework is not simply to classify materials, it is to explore how independently verifiable duration may contribute to long-term human understanding. When irreversible natural history is preserved within matter, and when that preserved evidence continues to support research across generations, time value begins to emerge. It is not derived from speculation. It develops through the continuing relationship between evidence, verification, and civilization. In the age of AI and unlimited digital replication, time value represents an enduring point of reference grounded in irreversible reality. Part 4. Strategic Architecture and the 3-Point Verification Network. Chapter 4. Strategic Architecture, a 3-point verification network. The XFJ830 framework proposes a long-term governance architecture designed to preserve continuity, independent verification, and institutional resilience across generations. Rather than relying upon a single institution, jurisdiction, or technology, the framework explores a distributed model built upon 3 interconnected layers. The 3-point verification system. 1. The first point is the physical origin. Ancient geological materials preserved in Formosa, Taiwan, provide the observable physical evidence from which the research begins. 2. The second point is the digital archive. Independently documented records are preserved within secure data infrastructure, allowing evidence and research to remain continuously accessible for future verification. 3. The third point is the distributed preservation layer. Cloud-based and satellite-supported archival technologies are explored as additional mechanisms for long-term redundancy, resilience, and continuity. Together, these 3 components seek to establish a framework where physical evidence, digital preservation, and distributed infrastructure reinforce one another through independent verification rather than centralized dependence. Long-term stewardship. The XFJ830 framework further proposes that any future governance model should include mechanisms capable of supporting continuous scientific research, archive maintenance, and institutional stewardship. Long-term preservation requires more than technology. It requires sustained participation by researchers, archivists, scientific communities, and future custodians who continue protecting the integrity of the evidence. Within this concept, governance is understood not as ownership, but as stewardship. Its purpose is not simply to preserve information. Its purpose is to preserve the continuity of independently verifiable evidence across generations. The long-term objective is the creation of a self-sustaining research ecosystem capable of remaining open, transparent, and resilient, while reducing dependence upon any single organization, technology, or generation. Part 5. A civilizational framework for the age of artificial intelligence. Chapter 5. A civilizational framework for long-horizon decision-making. The emergence of artificial intelligence is redefining how humanity creates, verifies, and assigns value. As digital replication becomes increasingly sophisticated, the challenge is no longer simply technological. It is institutional. It is scientific. It is civilizational. The question is no longer whether technology can reproduce information, The question is whether humanity can continue to preserve objective evidence, long-term trust, and independently verifiable reality. The XFJ 830 framework proposes that future governance should not depend upon any single institution, nation, market, or generation. Instead, it should encourage an open framework through which independently verifiable evidence may continue supporting scientific inquiry, institutional confidence, and long-horizon decision-making. Within such a framework, museums, research institutions, auction markets, universities, private collections, family offices, and future custodians may each contribute from their own perspectives, while remaining connected through the same foundation of observable evidence. The framework therefore is not designed to replace existing systems. It is intended to complement them by introducing one additional dimension, independently verifiable duration. From this perspective, time carrier preserves irreversible natural history. Time asset emerges when that preserved history continues supporting independent verification across generations. Time value develops when preserved duration continues contributing to knowledge, trust, and civilization over time. Epilogue. A reference point for future civilization. The XFJ 830 framework does not claim final authority. It does not seek universal acceptance, nor does it require immediate consensus. Its purpose is to preserve a research pathway through which future generations may continue asking the same questions, while applying better methods, broader evidence, and deeper understanding. The framework belongs to no single individual, no single institution, no single nation. It is offered as an open governance framework for continued exploration by humanity. Perhaps civilization will ultimately be remembered not only for what it created, but also for what it chose to preserve. I was here. The origin was here.